science lesson on the 3 states of water. Now, there are 3 states of water that we're going to be discussing. They are liquid form, solid form, and gaseous form. So pay attention with me today. It'll be a great lesson. Our first state we're going to talk about is liquid. Now, liquid water is quite simple. We see it everywhere. Usually when we think of water, we think of liquid water. A liquid will take the shape of the container that it's in. Many of you have a water bottle or you get a cup of water at lunch. That's liquid water. It takes the shape of the cup. If the cup is square, the water becomes square. If the cup is a round cylinder, it also will take the shape of that round cylinder. We drink liquid water. Even when you chomp ice, you have to make it into liquid before you drink it. We also swim in the water. I'm sure many of you have fun in the water. I actually enjoy water sports myself, a little skiing and tubing out on the boat. That's always fun. We also wash in water. So we have a couple pictures. We wash our cars with water. We wash our plates and dishes. We wash ourselves using good hygiene. And the washing machines wash our clothes with water. Water is in everything we do. Lakes are filled with water. Streams are filled with water. We have some of the best natural resources of water in all of the world. An example would be the Great Lakes. Lake Michigan, one of the largest freshwater lakes, Lake Superior. Now, national parks will be areas of water and lakes that might be very well preserved. An example would be out in Yellowstone National Park, some of the clearest, most crystal clear waters in all the United States. Now let's talk about the solid form of water. Solids hold their shape no matter what environment they're in. So you have a solid ice cube. If you put that solid square ice cube into a round cylinder cup, it's not going to take on the shape of a cup. Rather, it's going to stay the same shape in the square ice cube. An example would be snow and ice. If you didn't know that, ice and snow are actually forms of water in their solid shape. So we have rain that comes down in the liquid form of water, and ice and snow that come down in the solid form of water. So here's just a couple pictures. I know we've had some snow, not here in Florida, but up in the northern states earlier this year. There have been a lot of snowstorms, which is just solid state of water falling from the sky. Now, water vapor. Water vapor is a gaseous form of water. Water vapor is invisible, but it's always in the air. Thank goodness it's in the air, otherwise our skin would dry out. We'd have dry skin, and no amount of lotion would ever keep our skin dry because our skin used to be hydrated with water. Clouds are filled with water vapor. When clouds condense, it creates rain that comes down in the form of liquid water. If it's cold enough, when it comes down, those water droplets condense into snow. Okay, so how many of you have ever seen it being really hot out in the day, middle of Florida, then when our 3 o'clock rains come, and after that rain, you see steam coming up from the sidewalk or from off the parking lot? That's probably familiar to you. That's actually water vapor. That's the water from the rain evaporating into gaseous form. And that steam is a form of water. You also see that when you have steam coming off, say, a hot bowl of soup or a cup of coffee that your parents might drink. So there's changes. The water doesn't just stay in solid, liquid, or gas state. It can change. So water can change from one state to another simply by adding or subtracting heat. A solid changes to a liquid when heat is added, and vice versa. A liquid changes to a solid when you take away heat or it gets colder. Now, a liquid changes to water vapor when you add heat or it gets warmer. So when we take a pot of water, you want to boil it to make pasta. This starts off with the solid or the liquid state in the pan. You turn the burner on high on the stove, heats it up, and eventually the water begins to boil, and you see the steam, water vapor coming off that pan. That's because you've added heat. So water is everywhere in our world. In fact, it's all around us. Everywhere we look, we can see some form of water. Remember, water's in the weather, water's in the sink, the tap. Every time you flush the toilet, take a shower, wash your car, wash the dishes, do the laundry, or look outside. Even if you can't see the water, it's in the air as a vapor gas. And you never know what state it's going to be in. Thank you all for listening today. We'll come back after a few minutes, and I want you to brainstorm ideas of other forms of matter that also take on the forms of a liquid, a solid, or gaseous state. So when we come back, we'll write them all up on the board with some different ideas. So go ahead and take some time, get in your groups that we've already assigned, and think of these different items. Okay, welcome back, class. Thank you for participating in the small groups. You all did a very good job, and we've come up with some great ideas on different forms of matter around our environment that we see today, and we'll discuss them on the board here. So we've come up with lava. Now, lava has two different states. You have your lava rock that you'll see maybe in some landscaping here around Central Florida, or you'll have the liquid state that you might see in a volcano erupting if you went to Hawaii at some point. So with the amount of heat that comes from this volcano, the internal of the earth, forms the liquid lava. That lava cools, and you have a solid lava rock. So lava can be liquid or solid. Wood. Now our desk are wood, okay? But wood cannot be ever a liquid. You can burn it, it turns into ash. You can have to be heating it up. You can cool it down, and it just keeps getting colder and colder. But it never turns into a liquid. It always keeps its solid state. You can cut it, it just goes into smaller pieces of a solid. Wood is always a solid. Now you have oil. Oil, you make it cooler, and it becomes thick and heavier, harder to move, higher viscosity, which we'll learn at a later date. Viscosity is how dense an object is, a liquid is. But it doesn't turn into a gas, nor does it turn into a solid. Oil is in a liquid state. Now we have plastic. Your chairs are plastic. Now how do you think that plastic chair got molded into the form that it is today so we can sit in it comfortably? Well, you have to heat up the plastic, a big sheet of plastic actually, and then pour it, once it's in a liquid state, from being hot enough, into the mold to create each chair. So plastic can be in the solid state, which we're sitting in right now because you're sitting on it. But it could also be a liquid state. When heated up enough, liquid plastic will turn into a liquid, and when it cools, it turns back into a solid. Now our soda, we like our sodas. My favorite would be Dr. Pepper. If we have soda, it can be a liquid or a solid. If you ever put a cup of soda into your freezer, just try and experiment if your parents will let you sometime, you can see it'll actually freeze, and you can almost make a little slushy when it begins to thaw. So soda can be a liquid or a solid. Now an example of a gas would be helium. When you have a balloon, say for your birthday or a friend's party, the balloon is filled with helium to make it rise. Okay? And that helium gas, you can't see it. You can't see it, but it's in the balloon. It's filled in the balloon. So helium is a gas, and it can't be a solid or a liquid. So here's just a couple examples that we've gone around through everyday lives and objects and discussed their matter. This is now the conclusion of the lesson. Thank you all for listening.